developing the programme allows us to link into not only a regional and local effort and to partner with other schools, but it hooks us into a link with the schools network, which links across schools and creates collaboration across the country, but also internationally, that our staff will be able to tune into the latest developments in other countries and with other practitioners, and to collaborate and link with them through research and through online practice. That means that we can develop the very, very best practice in learning and teaching and pedagogy and impact on raising standards across the piece.
Like any outstanding school, we always want to maximise the impact of our best practitioners. And for us, it was a case of making sure that we choose the most motivated people for the Lead Practitioner scheme, those that have already got the respect of their colleagues, already having an impact in their own individual areas, and importantly, those that we know can actually then motivate colleagues on a much wider basis across the school. So in some ways, they were almost self-selecting. Also, we're committed to celebrating and valuing the work of our colleagues, and the Lead Practitioner scheme allows us an external accreditation that helps reward them in a way that's separate to rewards that are intrinsic to the school. They understand that the development that they get there links in perfectly with the various different national criteria for threshold, for example, for people who want to work toward becoming an SLE.
Once again, we thought that the partnership between very experienced teachers along with less experienced teachers with a common goal, which was to actually hit all the buttons for outstanding in terms of what happens in the classroom, were met in a very dramatic way as a result of following really the structures and the disciplines for the Lead Practitioner initiative.
This is a schools-based organisation which is led by school leaders, head teachers, principals. Teaching needs to be led by lead practitioners and teachers. And if you've got a lead practitioner network and you're able to share the ideas, the messages, you can create a very powerful force in schools. I think that the lead practitioner programme was pioneering. It's now embedded. We want to expand it even more. I think we can genuinely say that lead practitioners are leading education.
The LP accreditation recognises, celebrates and values those who lead others, who can inspire and move people on. We assume LPs are outstanding in their own practice. This is that next step of leading other practitioners in an educational organisation to impact on the learning and life chances of young people. We use the term practitioner as this is not only about teachers but a mark of excellence for all who lead, teaching assistants, librarians and many others who support the learning in our schools and academies. The process of application is just as important as the outcome. This is not just about presenting at large national conferences, but about those conversations in staff rooms where you've truly made a difference to other practitioners and ultimately to their students in the classroom.
I think the accreditation brings to our school a recognition to the individuals and to the school that learning is the most important thing in this organisation. And I think it will help with recruitment, it will help other people. It's a recognition that we value that as the most important ingredient of school improvement. I think for staff to develop their practice here at Halstow, what we try and do is ensure that they learn with and from each other. So that means that it's peer learning. We're very fortunate here, we have some outstanding practitioners who have done the accreditation, and then it gives other staff a chance to observe them and learn with and from them.
I think as a specialist school, we're constantly looking for ways to make sure that our outreach work is anchored in practice, and I think the Lead Practitioner programme gives us an opportunity to make that link have some sort of structure to it. I think in terms of benefits for our own staff, it allows me as a head to recognise what staff are doing to raise the game of the colleagues around them and recognise that all-important skill, which is helping other teachers and other members of staff improving their practice. The lead practitioner status is already something that has a great deal of currency in the national network of schools, and people know what it stands for and they value it. So the idea of being able now to target it and give access to it to certain key members of staff will allow us to develop our workforce and really raise the whole bar across the school.
I think that school improvement is all about maximising the impact that people have on the organisation. And the Lead Practitioner scheme allows you to put together the individual's desire for impact with the school's desire for impact and match the priorities together. You've got a programme there that allows the individual to have excellent focused professional development for them, whilst at the same time you're making sure that their individual work is linked in with the priorities of the school, they're working as a team, and they can see the wider impact.
There are a number of steps in setting up a professional development programme, and your school will adopt its own approach. However, set out here is a possible way to develop a collaborative approach to learning for the practitioners in your school. The first step is to identify a practitioner or practitioners who are able to set up and run a professional development programme for lead practitioners in the school. You may already have a school's network lead practitioner, or may have identified a member of your team.
I think the leader of this programme for us, it was a pretty straightforward decision, because you want somebody that is highly effective in their own practice. They've got to be an outstanding practitioner. They need to be able to really gather people together and motivate them, and also ensure that they've got the needs of those individuals at heart, whilst also having that whole school picture of the whole school priorities, so that this person can actually track the progress of the individual but marry it to the important progress for the school.
Many schools and academies choose to buy in at least the launch sessions to raise the profile and set the scene in the national and international context. Our trainers are LPs themselves or moderators and can really support and lead your LPs throughout the process. We've made this as cost-effective as possible. The numbers of applicants should link to your priorities. It can range from 5 to 20. It is important to be ambitious, but ensure it's manageable. The process of generating interest, gaining agreement, setting up and running a professional development programme and evaluating the impact can take time. So we have developed a document bank of materials to support you at no cost when you buy a cohort. We would recommend your programme takes place over the course of 12 months so that you can link it with identified streams of work, ensuring value for money, although this depends on your needs and can last for as long as you like. Applications can be submitted at any point, but moderation is carried out at 3 gateways throughout the year. To help plan your programme in line with these, details of the moderation gateways for the coming academic year can also be found in the support pack provided. There's a range of people that you will need to gain agreement or buy-in from to ensure that you can maximise the impact of your cohort of potential schools network lead practitioners. In the support pack you will find materials that will help you, including a set of slides to be used for a presentation to governors or staff, together with the LP accreditation introductory video, and a proposal for senior leadership and governors that you can adapt. The practitioners you select will need to have the potential to lead practice with others, both within your school and eventually beyond. They may already be leading practice in a range of ways and want to further develop and extend their skills, as well as gain professional accreditation for what they are already doing well. Once you've identified which practitioners will take part in the professional development programme, as a school you need to decide how best to fit this into your priorities and school development plan, and how you can enable the opportunities for your aspiring LPs to develop and share across teams.
We decided that we would have a team of 12 lead practitioners, each one of them working specifically on a different area of our teaching and learning programme. What we then did is look at the individuals that applied, work to their individual strengths and also their ambitions and their own professional development desires to make sure that we had a matching between what they wanted to develop and the key priorities for the school.
I visited Woolwich Polytechnic to have a look at the Lead Practitioner framework that they've set up here, because Thomas Tallis School and Woolwich Polytechnic School are working closely in partnership now. We share a head teacher. And as a result of that visit, I became convinced that a key element of our professional development programme needed to open up the Lead Practitioner Accreditation to all of our staff. Now, as a result, we've gone for this wholeheartedly. And what we're doing is we're seeing it as a strategy not only for the development and professional sort of enhancement of our staff, but also to recruit and retain our staff. And what's a fantastic element of it is that it's a medium and long-term programme that looks at the staff needs, looks at their strengths, identifies areas for them to develop. And that kind of model, with a sort of a return to where they're at and how they've developed, empowering them and putting them in a kind of coaching relationship with another colleague, is a key element of how we see the professional development growing.
So here are all the criteria. Practitioners who apply for the LP accreditation need to gather evidence for all these areas. If they are to be successful, they need to be operating at extending or transforming and leading in 7 out of 10 criteria. As you can hopefully see, the criteria reflect what you would expect a practitioner who is leading practice to be able to do. The outcome of each practitioner's assessment against the criteria will help determine their professional development needs. The professional development programme you design for them will need to provide opportunities for them to develop their skills in leading practice. This could include a range of learning opportunities for the practitioners in your programme, such as working in teaching and learning groups, undertaking action research, learning walks and lesson observations. Each school will develop a programme for their practitioners that will meet their needs. An example of the way one school has approached this can be found in the support pack. Applicants are strongly advised to work through their application with a coach, mentor or line manager. In setting up the programme, you will need to consider who will be best placed to coach members of your group. In the document pack, there are materials that you could adapt for your coaches or line managers to use, as well as those applying for LP accreditation.
I understand that the accreditation process places great emphasis on evaluating the impact of each individual lead practitioner, which I think is really important from the school's perspective, because we're always concerned with trying to pinpoint the impact that different individuals have across the school. How does that work?
Yeah, they have to demonstrate impact of the work that they've done, and this can kind of come in 2 areas. On the one hand, it can come through the form of testimonials of staff that they've worked alongside, kind of sharing kind of how their work has impacted, how it may have changed aspects of learning and teaching. But then it can also actually perhaps even be data related, so looking at the attainment of a particular class which that member of staff has worked with, to kind of really show the impact of their work. Sharon already has quite a lot of experience, and in quite a few areas she's already in the developing stage, and there's a couple of aspects where actually she's already moving into extending, which is excellent, because that's kind of where we want them to be.
So you've got this as essentially a self-evaluation.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
It's an audit of their current position.
Yeah.
Are they able to use it to work to develop each other's weaknesses using a related strength?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we have been looking at about how we are going to work collaboratively as well. So it's not kind of each kind of prospective lead practitioner just going off and doing their own thing, and the thing that we're using to draw all of us together is thinking about whole school literacy and thinking about how we can drive that forward.
Hi John, I wonder if you could just sort of go through with me the work that you've been doing on LPs and the LP accreditation. I believe you've set up some sort of system that's going to enable them to record their work.
Yeah, I've used the VLE to create a collaborative space, and what I've done is looked at the LP accreditation criteria, the skills, and I've mapped it out here as you can see. So I've got the 3 basic skill areas and then the skills within those areas.
Oh right, excellent.
And what I've done is I've put in for each one, I've actually copied across in the box the guidance for the levels for developing, beginning, developing, extending, transforming and leading. So they've actually got the criteria in each area. It's very graphical, so they can. It works like a mind map.
So what are all of these little boxes here? Are they the individual colleagues
the individual teachers have got their own box, and the idea is, and I've kind of seeded it with mine, is that they drop in their own supporting statement, which is obviously a work in progress,
Uh-huh.
and then the evidence that they've provided, and a link to the evidence they've provided. So the idea is that they can have a look at each other's, and we can be informing each other of where we're going with things.
So everyone has access rights to everyone else's?
Everyone's got access, so and that was agreed with everyone.
Uh-huh.
So everyone's quite comfortable with that. And then finally, down the side here, we've got the actual final supporting statements. And having gone through the process, I've put mine that went through the process, and I've even put on the end the judgment that came back from the moderator.
Oh, right.
So they can see,
the full, yeah.
So hopefully that's a comprehensive package that will enable us to make really best use of the meeting that we have.
As practitioners, I think that we're continually evaluating the learning of learners and really considering whether our teaching has had impact and whether our learners are making progress. But I think it's fundamental if the lead practitioner program is going to be successful, that you are continually evaluating the learning of your staff as well, whether it's to do with your lead practitioners or actually the staff that they are working with, because it's important that the work that the lead practitioners are carrying out within the school, that it has impact. And so obviously it's that case of sitting back at the end of the year, kind of identifying the projects that have taken place, thinking about the outcomes, and then seeing whether those outcomes have been met, because obviously it's from that point that the next steps can be taken, really.
We found the initiative, the Lead Practitioner Initiative, very successful in year one. And the evidence that we have for that is that we had a local authority review on learning and teaching in particular. And this was commented upon as a very positive aspect, to such an extent that we were graded outstanding in that mock-off state, if I can call it that, at that time. Once again, we thought that the partnership between very experienced teachers along with less experienced teachers with a common goal, which was to actually hit all the buttons for outstanding in terms of what happens in the classroom, were met in a very dramatic way as a result of following really the structures and the disciplines that the Lead Practitioner Initiative has given us. In year two, we find that now, of course, they have much more confidence, and what's happening now is that what's led to our outstanding Ofsted is that these practitioners, working with every bit of confidence of the advanced skills teachers, are helping all of our colleagues develop these skills which will give them the outstanding within the classroom, which we want to achieve for our students. I think that the celebration aspect is extremely important, and we did celebrate their achievement very early on. And we do acknowledge that, along with the achievements of colleagues who they worked alongside, because they were the outcomes for our students, which is really the outcomes that we all want to achieve. So all in all, a very successful initiative. And in year two, I think we're very, very encouraged by what can be achieved in the future. We're now looking to the future.
We hope this module made you consider the Lead Practitioner Accreditation for your organisation as a means of recognising, celebrating and valuing the work your practitioners have been doing over the last 3 years. For information about purchasing a cohort of LP accreditations and to discuss support packages available from the schools network, please go to the LP network pages of our website or contact the accreditation support team directly.